Hey, remember all those times you were in the dark and couldn't find anything? And then you turned on the lights and voila, everything was right there all along. Well, this little device is the reason we don't live in the dark ages anymore. Nope, I'm not talking about the sun or the moon. I'm talking about the humble light switch. You may be thinking, come on, how interesting can a light switch be? But stick around, because the light switch has a story that's anything but ordinary. It's a tale of innovation, electricity, and the fascinating ways light shapes our lives. Welcome to Objectified, where we dig into the stories behind everyday things. The light switch might seem basic, but its story is anything but. It has changed how we interact with our environment, influenced architecture, and maybe even affected your sleep schedule. And believe it or not, the journey to the light switch began long before electricity was around. For millennia, humans used natural light and whatever fire could offer. It wasn't until the Industrial Revolution brought steam power in factories that indoor lighting became a necessity. But even with the invention of the light bulb, turning lights on and off was no easy feat. Enter the light switch. But hold on, let's rewind a bit. To understand how the light switch works, we need to talk about the brainchild of Thomas Edison, the light bulb. In 1879, Edison created the first commercially practical incandescent light bulb, ending humanity's dependence on candles and fireplaces for light. But having a light bulb doesn't mean much if you can't easily control it. And that is where the light switch swoops in. Most light switches operate on a simple principle. They open and close an electrical circuit, allowing electricity to flow and the bulb to light up, or interrupting the flow and plunging you into darkness. When you flick a switch, you're actually doing one of two things. You're either closing the circuit, which creates a pathway for electricity to flow from the power source to the bulb, or opening the circuit, which breaks the flow of electricity. By opening and closing that circuit, the switch allows you to turn the light on or off. Early switches were often key-operated, kind of like a fancy doorbell. This made sense in the early days when electricity was a rare luxury and people wanted to prevent unwanted guests from simply turning on their lights. However, as electricity became more common and homes became wired, key-operated switches gave way to something simpler and more intuitive: the toggle switch. The toggle switch is a familiar sight in modern homes. It has two positions, on and off, and a lever that moves between them, making it easy to control the light with a single flick. There have been many variations on this basic design over the years, but the fundamental principle remains the same. The word switch itself gives a clue to how this device works. Just like a switch on a train line, it changes directions or states. One direction is on, the other is off. Light switches, like most electrical components, come with warnings to avoid shocks, burns, and fires. So do not try this at home, please. The simple act of flipping a light switch might seem so mundane that you've probably never given it a second thought. But in reality, it's a miracle of modern engineering and design. Every time you walk into a room and flip the switch, you're engaging in a complex interaction between mechanics and electricity that was once unimaginable. Think about it. At the push of a button, a tiny electrical circuit opens or closes, triggering a flow of electrons that illuminates a glass bulb thousands of miles away. Light switches also reflect broader trends in technological development. Initially a luxury item, indoor lighting became a standard feature in homes during the early 20th century. As cities grew and people spent more time indoors, the demand for easy-to-use lighting solutions increased. And who would have thought that something as simple as a light switch could influence architectural design? Well, it turns out that light switches played a role in shaping how we use and perceive indoor spaces. For example, the widespread use of light switches contributed to the popularity of dimmer switches, which allowed users to adjust the brightness of the light. This innovation not only gave people more control over their living environments, but also created a cozy atmosphere for activities like dining or relaxing. Light switches also impacted building design. As offices and commercial spaces became larger and more open, the need for multiple light sources grew. This led to the development of centralized switchboards, which allowed occupants to control multiple light fixtures from a single location. The advent of smart home technology has brought a new level of sophistication to light switches. Today, many light switches can be controlled remotely with smartphones or voice commands, offering unprecedented convenience and flexibility. Some advanced switches even include sensors that can automatically adjust the lighting based on factors, like the time of day or ambient light levels. It's hard to imagine life without them. But until the 20th century, homes were illuminated by gas or oil lamps, which required regular maintenance and posed a fire risk. The invention of the light bulb revolutionized lighting, but turning it on and off was a hassle. That's where the light switch stepped in, making indoor lighting not just possible, but convenient. The early 20th century saw the rise of key-operated light switches, which eventually gave way to the more user-friendly toggle switch we know today. The simplicity and reliability of this mechanism have made it a fixture in homes and buildings worldwide. Over the years, we've added extra features like dimmer switches and centralized switchboards to give people more control over their lighting. The future of light switches is exciting with smart switches, offering remote control and automation capabilities. What started as a basic utility has evolved into a blend of convenience, design, and technology. As we move forward, one thing is clear: the light switch will continue to illuminate our lives in ways both big and small. Thanks for tuning in to Objectified. If you're still with us, we know you're a true fan of this channel. Show us by hitting that like button and subscribing so you never miss an episode. Also, drop a comment below. Tell us which everyday object you want us to cover next. Who knows? Your suggestion might become our next deep dive. Check out our playlist on everyday objects for more. And do not forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new episode drops. Until then, keep exploring the world. You never know what stories might be lurking around you. See you next time on Objectified.